Welcome, everybody. We're going to talk about administration, Power Platform, and this session is called How to Become the Best Power Platform Administrator. Before we start, a few words about me. If you don't know me, my name is Mike Roth. I'm from Germany. Here are all my social contacts, and most of the things I publish on Twitter, LinkedIn, and my blog. I work as a Power Platform consultant / solution architect at Avanade, and my official title is Manager of Experience Tech, which I love because if someone asks me what do you do, it's like I manage how you experience tech, and this is it says nothing basically, so I can basically choose what I tell people what I do. Okay, but today, Power Platform Administration. Before I start or dive in, I would like to say all these tips and ideas that I share with you come from my own experience. So I think there's no the best way or the right way to be a Power Platform Administrator. It really depends on where you work and how your organization is structured. But this is all the experience I got from more than a year now, only working governance projects with Power Platform with my customers. Okay. So this is not the last truth. So agenda, what are we going to talk about? Welcome, we got this off the table, that's good. I would like to start with an overview of what is an administrator. So what are your tasks, your responsibilities? And then I switch over to what tools you need, at least. And I think, hopefully, most of you should be aware about the Admin Center and the COE Starter Kit, but I want to show you a few things you might have missed or how I use it mainly. And after that, when we have the foundation laid out, we talk about things, how to make your life easier. There's some organizational stuff, some technical stuff, Power Automate and CLI. And then I close with a typical schedule and processes, what I always recommend. And then I have some resources for you. Yay, free stuff. All right. First of all, what is an administrator, or what are the tasks of an administrator? And let's have a look at the official documentation from Microsoft Learn. Let's say it's protect your organization's data through access management, security roles, environment, DLPs. And from there, you have to monitor, deploy, you have to take care about updates and issue fixing. And this is kind of an okay definition I get, but I found another one which I really like, and I would like to put it next to it. And this comes from the PowerCat team and the community and some experts. So there are lots of people actually worked on this, and they break it down. Those are just a few points. They say planning, securing, deploying, and supporting applications built on the platform. Then you plan for applications being developed and deployed, and handle day-to-day admin tasks and manage deployments. And I think both together give a very good overview over what are the tasks of an administrator, but I do have a few issues here. And mostly on the right side from the PowerCat team. And actually the PowerCat team published a Power Platform Administrator or Power Platform Governance white paper. And this is really good, actually. I have it linked in the documentation section later on. So, but the planning and supporting applications, I do have a little bit of a issue with that one, because the administrator is not the first level support, and supporting application built on the platform sounds like first level support. And I do get the fact that when administrators take care of the platform, then you get into that role quite easily. But administrators are not meant to be supporting applications. You can help fixing errors. If you work with Power Platform, you might know how this works, but this is not the first role. And I seriously think that this supporting application is kind of wrong in this definition. But anyway, the other part is the planning part, and that's a bit trickier, because I think administrators are securing, protecting, and maintaining the platform. And that includes, of course, setting up environments and DLPs. But who is really responsible for planning how to run the platform? You as an administrator, can you decide how the platform is getting utilized? Can you align like the technical possibilities with the overall business strategy? And should you be responsible for that? Because I think no, because the planning part can only be done by a low-code team or Power Platform team consisting of business decision makers, administrators, and people from the business. You as an administrator are part of that, yes, but the responsibility for planning the platform the responsibility should not lie on your shoulders only. So I had a little bit things that I don't agree with, but in general, that's a good overview. Now, if we break that a little bit down to see what do we have, we take the 4 main points secure, monitor, alert, and act, and deploy. And if we look into it, this is not a complete list, but the first thing that popped into my head, like enable cross-tenant isolation, one of my favorites, then set up the DLPs, create the environments, of course, according to strategy, then manage the security roles and define a data gateway strategy, and of course also the custom connectors, and that is something for monitoring as well. And that always should start with setting up the Center of Excellence Starter Kit, COE, if you don't know that is Center of Excellence Starter Kit. Then you have to monitor the new custom connectors, check the resource usage, set up sharing alerts, and use audit logs. Alert and act, we have of environment requests. There are users and makers that need a new new environment with a new DLP. How do you act on that? Do you want to have tickets, or is there a request app, something like that? Then the compliance process falls into the category alert and act from my point of view, and welcome new makers is something the admin can take care of. Maybe it's communication, maybe it's HR. Usually it's a combination of different people. And the whole deployment thing, create an appropriate ALM lifecycle and share apps with users. That is one of the tasks of an administrator, which is a huge task already. And I think, as I said, this is not a complete list, but this can quite be a handful of work. And I usually bring up this white paper and the definition from the white paper for one purpose, actually. And this is because the white paper starts with this sentence. This is one of the first pages, actually. So identify the central team that will be implementing Power Platform governance and assign them the admin role, yada, yada, yada. This is one of the first sentences, and this is one that I really like. They are talking about a central team, while the Microsoft documentation always talks about an administrator, so one person. And I think if you want to share anything from the session or take screenshots, and this is the part. Power Platform administration is too much for a single person to handle, because I see this like from a day-to-day basis. I see overworked and stressed out administrators who just have way too much on their plate. And this is the only place in the whole internet where I find that administration belongs in the hand of a team. And I think I can't stress this enough, actually. I think this is so important. So we covered the task of an administrator, and we cover the fact that administration is kind of a job for a team, especially if Power Platform is used a lot. So let's check really quick. Oh, no, why are you doing that? Come on. The tools that you need, at least these two tools are very important. The Power Platform Admin Center, I usually say PPAC, this is Power Platform Admin Center. If you use that term, everyone knows that you're one of the cool people who know their stuff. And aka.sm/PPAC is the short link for that, very handy. And of course, the Center of Excellence Starter Kit. And I'm sure you know both of those tools. If you don't, I don't have time for a deep dive, obviously, but I want to show you a few things that you might have missed. And I start with the Admin Center. I want to show you the analytics, tenant isolation, and customer logbox. Some pretty cool features, actually. And since of today, the licensing dashboard, this is kind of new and a preview, and I just added this on the fly, so we will see how that works. And Tails is telling me it's demo time. So let me see, Admin Center. I have it here. Yeah, and first thing I want to show is the analytics section, because if you have checked this out, let's say a few months or even years ago, this wasn't very good and you could hardly get any information out of it. But right now, it's getting better and better. And I didn't preload that, I see. That was a mistake. Okay. What we have here is the analytics for Power Automate, Power Apps, and Dataverse, which are pretty cool, actually. For Power Automate, we can see an overview over the whole tenant, basically, and this is kind of new, a couple of months old, where you can see the overall usage, all the runs, all the successful and all the failed runs. And we got better. This is our Power Platform admin tenant from Avanade. So, and then we get all those flows that run really often, and we see the flow ID and the name of the environment, where it is. So this is handy. But what I always struggle with, I want to click on it and get more information, like who's the maker and then more in detailed information. That doesn't work here. But I got a few more reports, and this is the maker activity. which is pretty good if you work for Power Platform adoption and see where the Power Platform is utilized a lot and where not, how much flows were created, how much maker you have overall in the tenant. Really like that. And complete inventory, what's going on overall, like all the flows, all the successful runs, and all that. We can filter this here. This is basically an embedded Power BI report, or Power BI dashboard better. And yeah, we got all the functionality that we have. We do have a per environment view, which gives us a little bit more information, but not too much actually. So we can filter between cloud flows and desktop flows. We can see the weekly runs and all the canceled runs, the failed runs. So there is a little bit more for runs, usage, all the flows created, errors, shares, and connectors, which is really nice. I try to get some information out there, like show me all the flows that connect to Dataverse, for example. But even if I find it, I can't get more information, which is a little bit, well, not too handy. But overall, I must say the analytics section has gotten really good in the within this year, I would say. Same works for Power Apps. Pretty much the same overview. And we don't have that much app on this tenant. And Dataverse is more or less about the total calls and the consumption rate. Yeah, so end of season soccer, dismiss, okay. So this analytics report got really good now. And I think it's worth to check it out once again. That is the first thing I want to show you. The second one is the tenant isolation. And every time I have a session around Power Platform governance, I ask, do you know what tenant isolation is? It's a fun little feature, basically, that allows you to, I don't prepare a slide for that, actually, but it basically, if I, from my private tenant, from my Michael Roth tenant, would create a flow that is able to connect with Dataverse, and I got asked for my credentials then, if I have those credentials, I can run this flow from my private tenant and interact with data on another tenant. If you work as a consultant, you might know this, that you work on different tenants and you do have the credentials. And the thing is, these flows that come from a different tenant than your organizational tenant, those flows are not affected by any data loss prevention policy. So this is the best opportunity to leak data, actually, without noticing it. So I think at the beginning of this year, Microsoft released this tenant isolation as a possibility in the admin center. Before that, you had to raise a ticket to the Microsoft support, and then they will do it for you. But now you can do it yourself. So that basically switches off all third-party tenant connections that you might have. You can create rules if you need third-party connections for like all the third-party connectors that you have, for example. But this one is a really important thing to read into. And I have some links for you as well in the documentation later on that explains it in a little bit more detail, what is cross-tenant connection and what not. This one is very important. If you don't know it yet, check it out later on. And the customer logbox, I really like this. This is in here as well. And this is pretty cool because I use this quite often. I don't think I have any logbox requests in here. What this is basically is if you have, if you work with critical or sensitive information and data, and you get help from Microsoft, and they switch onto your tenant, and you do like a joint session to see where the bug is or something. You can prevent Microsoft from see or have access to any of your data. And with this logbox, it's not something went wrong. Okay, that happens. You can shut off Microsoft and even the Microsoft technicians to not get access to your data. So if you have customer data, for example, you can tell your customer, don't worry, even if Microsoft is on our tenant, they can't see your data. This is really handy and really nice. I really like this, especially for sensitive data. And the latest thing, the licensing dashboard, and this is still in preview. This is in the billing section. And what happened? Okay, let's reload. Let's see what happens. Something. Billing session, licenses, preview. And that is something that is quite new. I don't know if you remember that, but before of August this year, Microsoft announced that they want to change something in their licensing structure, and they want to make sure that every flow that runs in the context of an app is actually technically combined with that app. And This one is the first in preview dashboard to see if you have any licensing issues in your environments. And I have to include standard environments because per default it only looks on managed environments. I don't have any because I don't need them yet. And let me see. I found some things on one of our environments, Studio Asset Development, I think. Yes. Here we have a little summary. We have M365 license, and that could be a PowerShell license. I had this issue this morning, I think, but it's gone now. Yeah, that's the great thing of demos. I had a flow here that was using a premium license and wasn't connected with an app, so it didn't run in the context of an app. And Microsoft suggested to me that I buy a standalone Power Automate license for that. So Microsoft is really pushing hard that you get, if you build flows and apps, that you have 2 different licenses for that, or that you combine the flow so it runs in the context of an app. So this is getting more and more serious now. We will see where we end up with that. But I like that they already published this kind of dashboard to see what's going on. I would really like to see them to have a dashboard for the Power Apps per app plans to see which one are, how many I have left and how many are consumed already. But they are on a kind of journey right now with that. So these are a few things I don't see that often used by different admins. So I wanted to show you the new analytics, tenant isolation, customer logbox ends. Starting off today, the licensing dashboard preview thingy, whatever that is, or whatever that is going to be. Okay, so much for that. Let's go on. What else do we have? Come on, do something. Center of Excellence Data Kit, yes. And this one is huge, and I guess most of you know about it already. If you don't, give me just the quick tour and the hard facts. Here we go. So the Center of Excellence Data Kit is a Microsoft Garage project, so to say. So there's a team from Microsoft that develops this Center of Excellence Data Kit, but it's not supposed to be an official Microsoft product. Keep that in your mind. This is going to be important later. And what this is, the COE, it's basically a bunch of solutions that consist of right now 20 apps, 114 cloud flows, and 77 database tables that will help you to with a governance approach for the Power Platform. They have some inspiration for processes that even work out of the box, like a compliance process or an onboarding process, like welcome new makers, send them an email automatically and assign them their environment, something like that. So this is really cool. Lots of them works out of the box. They got constant upgrades like every month. And they do have kind of a support. Not really, because it's not an official Microsoft project. They run this on GitHub, and you can raise a new issue there, and then they help you. But this is not official Microsoft support because it's not an official Microsoft product. Built by Microsoft, yes, but kind of the garage project. And once again, demo time. I want to show you something very specific. Let me see. Here's my window again. I'm here in my Maker Studio, make.powerapps.com, and I want to check those solutions. I'm in the COE environment, and I want to see the core solution. Nurture components, where do we have it? Core components, Center of Excellence, here we go. So this is everything that is just in the core component solution. There are more solutions, I think 4 or 5 by now, or even more. No, I'm in the governance components. I'm so sorry. Go back. Center of Excellence core components. That sounds better. Yes. So in these core components, we have lots of stuff like apps and flows. And what I want to show you are the tables. We have 46 database tables in here. And I'll make it a bigger. Okay, so the Center of Excellence Data Kit runs synchronization flows basically every day. They crawl through your tenant and get everything that happens around Power Platform, all the flows, all the makers, all the connections, all the apps, all environments, like everything you need. They sync this and put this in those database tables. And I want to show you my favorite table. This is the Power Apps app table, which have a lot of columns in there. So over 100. And whenever I need to build something around Power Platform for my governance approach, or for, let's say, little administration helpers, I utilize those tables actually, because we have so much information in here, like what's the environment of the app, what's the environment, the ID of the environment of the app, or who's the app owner, when was the app last modified on, and something, what was it? Here, app shared with users and app shared with groups. Those one are really interesting, because if you use managed environments from Microsoft, where every user needs a premium license, you get those sharing limits that you can say no one is allowed to share this app with more than 5 people, for example. And you can build something like this yourself. You don't have to use managed environments actually, because you get the information how many users an app is shared with, and even how many groups an app is shared with. So you get this information. You can build most of the features from managed environments yourself with the data in the Center of Excellence Starter Kit, which I really, really like. And here are so much information just around the apps, over 100 columns. And we have 46 tables, or at least 77 altogether, which are filled with information. So you can use this information. Like, this is really cool. I've seen customers actually who just deploy the COE not to use it, but just to use those Dataverse tables and just this information, because there's so much good stuff in there. So this is a use case for the Center of Excellence Starter Kit that I think you should know, because I really like that. Okay, that are the two main tools. Once again, at the end, I have a couple of links for you in the documentation part, and I think there is a link to my blog as well. And I think after the session, or by tomorrow, I will publish the blog post for that. And there are a few more tools that make your life easier, actually. And yeah, this is a complete list. These are just the bare minimum COE and the admin center. Okay, make your life easier. And once again, we have some organizational consideration and then some technical consideration. Let's start with the organizational ones. And I can't stress this enough. It's a team effort. And you really have to bring in all your stakeholders, like the business decision makers, the people from the business, and the technology, because this is a platform that Microsoft even advertises as a platform for everyone. And when I see organizations working with it, it's usually the tech people and the little bit makers, and that's it. And that usually leads to let's say, too much work on the administration side. And very important, and that really makes your life easier, is get your users trained. I know, once again, this is not your responsibility. This is usually HR or something, or do you have a training business unit? I don't know. But trained users will really help you, because they produce less issues. They know what to do, where to go. And this is what makes your life easy. I know that when users have an issue with, I don't know, deploying an app or something doesn't work, they search for the admin, because the address is everywhere, and then they send me a ticket, and I'm like, no, I'm not first level support. Get away. Shush. So trained users are good users. That will make your life easier. So get to know the person who is responsible for training in your organization and tell them. So that are the organizational considerations. The other one, Power Automate is your best friend. I don't know if you know those connectors, but they are my favorite connectors by now. Power Platform for admins, Power Apps, and Power Apps for makers, Power Automate for admins, and Power Automate management. There are many, many really cool actions in there. And I thought about building just a few flows on the fly, or prepare them for that, but that is a lot of work. And so I just got the one from the templates, actually. And just those four, there's four that I really like get a list of new apps, flows, and connectors. If you have this as a scheduled flow, then you already have a good overview of what's new in your tenant. Put this on a Friday or on a Monday, whatever you prefer, and every Monday or Friday you get a list of everything that happened that is new. So you don't have to crawl through your lists, through your COE or the admin analytics, admin center analytics or something. Just get it in your inbox, done. And this is a template. This is super easy. Then notify when the number of flows is about to reach 250 for an environment. This one is one I really like as well. So whenever many people share an app or a flow or something, there's a good chance this is an important app or important flow that might be business critical. And if this one lives in the default environment, that you don't have a backup for this, if one of the makers is accidentally going to delete it, you can recover it, but if anything happens, you don't have a backup. And so if any flow or app, and you can obviously customize those flows to notify you for flows or apps, if any of those reach a critical mass, so you can say, okay, now's the time to move that to a different environment where we have a proper backup and proper security, something like this. Receive an email with a list of new custom connectors. I like that because I think custom connector management from Microsoft is a little bit tricky sometimes. And that's usually one of my flows that I switch on every customer's tenant to just get on a weekly basis, like every Friday, show me all new custom connectors. Then I can look into that. Are they okay? Do I need to cover them with a DLP, or do I have to talk to the maker? That one is really cool as well. And save Power Apps for all environments to OneDrive Business on a daily basis. I like this one because I have many people working in Power Platform as an administrator, and they are not too much into tech, and they struggle a little bit with application lifecycle management and an automatic deployment or pipelines or anything like this. But this flow is the first tiny little baby step into the world of ALM, I guess. So just create yourself a backup if you don't have a source control. So I know this is not perfect, but that's, I think, a very nice and easy step for most people to just start somewhere, because you have to start somewhere. Now, with those 5 connectors, and they all are involved at some point here, you can do a lot of cool things. And now, why I showed you the COE database tables before. If you now think of all the data that is in the Center of Excellence Starter Kit, and you combine this data with those connectors, you can build amazing flows. And this is basically how you can build almost everything that Microsoft sells you in the managed environments, for example. I don't want to say managed environments are unnecessary or too expensive or something. I just want to say you can build it yourself if you have the time. So everything is already there, which I really like. So that can make your life easier, like a lot. And if you're a little bit more, let's say, experienced or courageous, that would be me, there's the exciting world of CLIs. And if you look into that, this is a whole new world, actually. And I really like that. But I know, then again, a few or many people actually who are a little bit afraid of CLIs, because this feels very techy and very technical. And I myself don't have a technical background, actually. So I still struggle with it a bit, but I'm getting better with it. And the cool thing is Microsoft got us covered, because they published example scripts. Just little scripts that gets you all apps with custom connectors, or all apps with premium connectors. You just receive a list, and you can export this list into a CSV file and then work with it and utilize in Power Automate, for example, or show all flows with HTTP actions. This link also in the link description in the end. So, or you can search or Google it or something. So this is pretty cool. This is a good way actually to start with CLIs. The documentation from Microsoft is pretty good, I have to say. And so when Power Automate and the actions and the connectors are not enough, and you can't build whatever you want to build with those, with CLI, I'm pretty sure you can. Especially the Microsoft apps. Power Apps Administration.PowerShell. This module is pretty cool. There are a few more, even from the PMP community. They're really good things. And that's what I really want to do now a little bit more. I wanted to have a quick look just in the all the commands that we have with there. And I open PowerShell here. And now I get all the commands that are in the in this module here, that are, let's make it bigger, that are all the commands, like the actions in Power Automate, for example, that you can use. Like, let's see, disable admin flows or enable admin flows, or which I really like, get user or groups from Graph. This one is pretty cool. This one connects to Microsoft Graph and gets you all users and groups for a certain environment or for a certain app or for a certain flow. This one is really good to build something like the this feature from the managed environments, where you when you don't want people to share apps with more than 5 people, you can get all the groups and users for a certain app or flow and work with this list, for example. This is pretty cool. Then CLI is really good in bulk management. If you have to change the ownership from one user account to another, or migrate apps and owners for something, doesn't matter if 5 or 500 or 5,000, this works really, really fast and way faster than Power Automate actually. Then there's a cool feature that you can use in here. I forgot how it was called. Clear something. Yeah, Clear Admin Power App APIs to bypass consent. This one is a nice little thing. Do you know that when you open a new Power App and you get this pop-up that shows you all the connections that are used, and you have to agree that all that are used, like SharePoint and Teams, and you need to say, yes, this is a connection I can use, yes, with my credentials. This is actually an API call to bypass the consent for the connections, and you can bypass that with that. So if you have an app and you think those agreeing on the connections would ruin the user experience, you can just bypass that. That's a nice little thing. And of course, the classics like set flows, so they run in the context of an app, works with PowerShell as well as change the standard storage of custom SharePoint forms, for example. So many, many cool things and endless possibilities. This is so cool. I really have to do that. And what I want to do, maybe when I have time on a rainy autumn evening or something like that, is I want to use a Power Automate flow that uses an Azure Automation account that inherits a runbook, and then I can run PowerShell commands from Power Automate. That's what I want to build, maybe for next event season or something, because I really like that. I can have all the CLI possibilities, but build up in a nice user-friendly interface for Power Automate, or even make an app that just triggers PowerShell commandlets. I really like that, and I really wanted to do that. Okay. Yeah, there were 3 things that will make your life easier as a PowerShell administrator: the organizational things, the Power Automate is your friend, and the exciting world of CLIs. Now, let's come to typical schedule and processes. Because I've heard people that said once your governance is set up, you don't have that much to do, maybe on a monthly basis, check if there are any issues, and I have some different experiences. And I distinguish them between daily, weekly, and monthly. And on a daily basis, I usually recommend to respond to requests and tickets, because usually there are some. If no, yay. And check notifications. Especially if you use the Center of Excellence Starter Kit, you might get some information in the dashboard that you can use there. However you build your processes, where you get your notifications in Teams, in the COE, or per email or the ticket, check those daily. On a weekly basis, usually I check for news and updates from the community from Microsoft. I recommend the Power Platform Weekly newsletter, which is really also in the link collection in the end. And the Microsoft Power Platform blog, that's good as well. And I monitor custom connectors on a weekly basis, just to see if there are any new ones, because custom connectors are a little bit like a black box. On a monthly schedule, I review my usage analytics and resource consumptions to see if we can push the utilization at some points or not. Then I check how much resource is left, so how much capacity is left. Do I have still app passes that I need or something? I review and update the documentation, usually my own documentation, because as we all know, Microsoft are changing things constantly. Then I review and update training materials for Power Platform user. And usually I don't create training materials by myself, but I just utilize the ones from Microsoft, but I check if anything is new or outdated to see if it's still everything up to date. Then I check if everything is archived, if everything works, and I clean up old objects like apps and flows and environments. If I'm clever, I automate the cleanup process, or pushed it out to the makers themselves, so that they have the responsibility to clean up their old stuff. And then something really important, and please don't laugh, on a monthly basis, if you automated your processes, check if the automation is still running. Because I had this is quite such a quiet month, nothing to do, and my flows were failing actually. So there were things to do, but I just didn't realize it because my automation failed. Yeah. So this is something that I use as a schedule, as a rough schedule, how your daily, weekly, and monthly tasks should look like. And then it pretty much depends on your processes. Like if you have a cleanup process that you have to do you have compliance processes? Are there any tasks that come to you? Are your users deploying apps into production and you have to approve this, something like that? On and offboarding and activity processes and environment requests are those classic processes that you might need to check, usually not on a daily, but maybe on a weekly basis or something. And if you're not too familiar with the Center of Excellence Starter Kit, all those processes, they have apps and processes for that you can use out of the box. Pretty cool. And now I already come to my last chapter, and this is resources. And the best resource you can use is your own knowledge. I believe in you. Okay, that's a little bit cheesy, and I don't mean resources, I mean documentation. That is what I mean when I talk about resources, because documentation is so goddamn important. And the best resource you can use is your own knowledge. I kind of mean that because I always say you need two governance documents, and the one is a technical governance document that just describes. I was on mute. Sorry. Okay. So this technical document describes your tenant settings, your environments, your DLPs, and like everything you would prepare for an audit, basically. This is very important. But on the other hand, and I just said that trained users are good users. You need a user face document, and this is something that is kind of important because the technical governance document basically describes how to use the Power Platform in your organization. But I don't know any user that reads through a technical document and understands everything. So you need something more user-friendly. And since you have the technical, or you should have the technical document anyway, you can just simple it a little bit down and make a user-face document from this. And luckily, Microsoft provides the Power Platform Hub, which I really like. This is a template for a SharePoint site collection that has all the categories in there, like your environments, your DLPs, how does the support process work in your organization, how to get a premium license, like all this is already there. It's a PowerShell script basically that you can run, and it takes 5 minutes or so, and you have a complete filled site collection of mostly communication sites, and you can just fill in your specific details, like what are the name of the environments and who is to contact in a case of emergency or something. This one is really cool. The link is also in the description in the end. And for the technical governance document, I do have a template that I usually put out there. It's a very long document. I just let the headlines in, and just the headlines, so you can just check, do you have anything? And if you want to, you can download it and use it for yourself and just fill it, whatever sections that you need, leave out the ones you don't need, but start with documentation. This one is really important for yourself and for your users. And this one is really important because everyone loves to read good documentation, but no one really likes to write good documentation. But maybe this helps you and makes it a little bit easier for you. Okay, now quick wrap up. Get a team because it is a lot. This is seriously. You are not first level support. This is very important. And strategy can, but must not be part of your responsibility. If you want to get in there with the business decision maker, go, because you know the platform probably by heart. If not, it's not your responsibility at the first. Then know the admin center by heart and the COE starter kit. Use it. They're great. Even if you don't use the processes from the COE, you can use the data. Then automate your task and notification. Then learn the CLI possibilities if you have the chance to. This is cool. And then this is my Steve Ballmer moment: documentation, 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 documentation. Yeah, and the best security are trained users in the end. And I think that's everything. Yes, you did it. Thank you very much for paying attention and for powering through. Here are my contacts as well. Oh yeah, and now I talked about the link document. I think I had the link document somewhere in a QR code, but the QR code is missing. Let's see. Maybe Sarah, you can when we publish this, we can send out the first comment, something, and put the link in there. I think I have it somewhere in my GitHub repository, but I don't know if it's named. Probably.
We can add it on to the recording. Don't worry.
Yeah.
We'll get it out there.
That would be very good. Okay. And that's it. So I've talked so much about my link, my link collection, and then I don't have it. Oh my, oh my. So if you have any questions or comments or something, we still have 17 minutes left. Oh God, I was really, really fast. And maybe while you think about questions, I can see if I can find the link to my link collection real quick. I had this in a repository on GitHub somewhere. Got it. But we don't have the chat, right?
Can you pop it in the Q&A, Michael?
How does it work?
If
Okay,
not,
it's
I
loading.
can get it out for you.
I can ask a question. Okay. Here we go. So posted this as a question, and then I think you can publish it, right?
Yeah, it's in there.
Yeah. Good. Okay, so don't get confused. This is a link to my ePPC 23 repository, and the README file starts with Scottish Summer 23. So this is a little bit messed up right now, but there is a nice link collection, the one that I mentioned all the time. And yeah, there are a few cool links. Also, a few other cool blogs from EY, the CRM Ninja, Cast and Growth, or Forward Forever. I really like those. They have a really cool blog. Yeah, and that's it for the day. So, questions, recommendations.
We have one in the Q&A there.
Oh yeah. Launch the COE for learning purposes. Yes, absolutely. Two ways. You could launch the COE on your own tenant if you have your own tenant. If not, you can sign up for the Microsoft Developer Program. That gives you a developer tenant with an E5 license, and you can deploy it there. That's what I do. Or if you deploy it in your organizational tenant, maybe if you are the administrator and have the rights, you can do that. All the processes, they don't start automatically. The only thing is the syncing workflows that start automatically, so that you get all the information, but you don't get in the way of any users. You will send any emails by default. So you can do it on the organizational tenant. That's what I do quite a lot as well. But developer tenant is nice as well. But on the other hand, developer tenant usually doesn't have any apps or flows or emails or something. So you're usually lacking some data there. But it works. And let me see if I can just find the link to the developer program real quick. Yes, I do. And I will just post this here. If you don't know this, the developer program gives you a developer tenant with an E5 license. This is just for learning purposes, actually, and you can go wild on this tenant. This is just for you, and it works really nice. I still have mine, and I have it for 3 or 4 years now. So if you use it, I think every 90 days or something, it doesn't retire. So this is really cool. Also for all the administrational things, if you build something, you can build it here or in your developer environment on your organizational tenant, whatever you have on possibilities.
So I raised a question on Q&A, Michael, if you're okay to have a look at that. It's specifically about I came to a new client, and they'd already had a Power App, and somebody had included the camera option, and then we removed that, and somewhere buried deep within the Power App, and yeah. I cannot find it. So every time a new person starts to use the app, we want them to authorize for some of the other connections we're using. Yeah. But we don't want them because then it always raises the question of why do you want to access my camera? And like, well, we don't, but we can't figure out how to stop asking you.
The question, why use the camera? Is this from the Power App or from Windows?
If you launch the Power App within, I haven't tried it on the mobile actually. I think, but definitely if you want to launch it within Windows. Yeah,
that I would actually try to bypass the consent. That is the PowerShell command that I just showed.
Does that bypass all of them though? Because we only want to bypass. Yes. Yeah, that's the issue. We only want to bypass the camera one.
Well,
and we can't find it. There's some reference to it we can't find.
Maybe it's a possibility to filter it. I'm not really sure.
There is something, I don't know if the camera is the same thing, but there is also a bug. It happens every now and then when if you add another connector reference, say SharePoint, for example, and you delete it from the app, that it still shows in the underlying config, and you can get rid of it by going through developer tools, finding the really long GUID, and then sticking some random command to just basically wipe it out, and then it's fine. I don't know if the same thing appears to the camera, because that's a control, not a connection reference, but there might be something similar where you can probably go through dev tools and find it. I'll have a look. I'll try and reach out to you because that might be a possibility. And I've got it somewhere buried in my notes from like 6 years ago. We've got a screenshot from Teams where we did this one thing once and it worked. And I've used it a couple of weeks ago for a client project, exactly the same kind of thing. So let me try and dig it out and see if it might be useful for you.
Yeah, I think it sounds similar. It's like it's just got it's holding on to something somewhere.
Yeah, and it's not actually in the app anymore.
It's definitely not in the app anymore. There's nowhere in the app, definitely. I've literally trawled through every screen and every box. It's not there.
Okay, cool, awesome. There was a raised hand. There is again. Otherwise, I would go to the Q&A questions. But please, Nikki.
It was just to say I've had a similar issue before, not with the camera, with a separate connector. I exported the app, unzipped the zip file, trawled through all the files to find that connection reference, and just deleted it, zip it back up, and imported it in.
And it worked?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Perfect. Gonna try that.
Well, that's cool as well. Nice. Cool. Then I would check the Q&A questions. Have you even faced an issue of COE environment taking too much resource capacity? Yes. There are some organizations which are huge, like the huge enterprises. And then when you have too much data, then it can break and the flows can stop, which is a real pain. The only thing to work with that is to outsource the data capacity to a data lake. This is the COE Bring Your Own Data Lake, I think it's called. Then you can hit it up to the Azure Data Lake, and then it works fine. But yeah, not sure. Let me see. Yes, this is Bring Your Own Data Lake integration. That is somewhere in the COE, and I don't see the documentation right now, but it's called Bring Your Own Data Lake for the COE. That works. Exam-wise, which cert is best to do that? Focusing on admin. Okay, yeah, PL900 is a great start. There is not really a certification for administrators, at least not for Power Platform. I don't think there is. The best training material I have found actually is there was once one of those app in a day workshops from Microsoft, but not app in a day, but admin in a day. And you don't find that too often anymore, but I have it somewhere. Let me check. Yeah, I have it in the link collection in my GitHub repository. There's admin in a day training materials, and there are a lot of slides actually. This is the training, the one-day training from Microsoft, and these are all the slides that you can use. And if you work through those slides, you can get an idea of what areas you have to look for and what are your tasks and responsibilities. Those are really good. But apart from that, I don't know any certification or training actually for that. I don't know why. Then will this recording be shared publicly? I think so, yes. Sarah,
It'll be on our website. I've just popped a link on there. We've got an events page which has all the recordings, including your last session, Michael, with us, and any upcoming events are on there to sign up to as well. So there's a link there.
Awesome. I think
there's a question for Craig in there, actually. Craig from Brandon.
Yeah, I just spotted it. Brandon, it's as in the browser dev tools. I can't remember what button you press for Edge. Is it F12?
12. F12.
Yeah, F12. I found the image. It's not the most up-to-date one, there is one I've slightly tweaked, but I have found a reference. So if anyone's interested in the browser DevTools technique to get rid of connections and whatnot, I'll whack it in the Q&A bit now.
Yes, please.
Do we have any other
And-
questions or comments from anybody?
I don't see any.
No, I joined late, which I apologise for, because it was the tail end of what I heard sounded really good. I may have missed as well, because I got things pinging up on my screen. I saw on QA someone asked if it's been recorded. I didn't hear an answer to that, but I think the answer is yes. They are normally recorded, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
Do you know what? I just panicked. I just thought, oh, I need to check. It's
Yeah.
recording. It is. I have a red button.
Yeah.
So it'll be available tomorrow on the website. So yeah,
And
it'll be.
I guess around all your socials like LinkedIn, Twitter, you will put it out there, right?
Yeah,
At
we
least I
share the
will
link
do.
quite a lot. Yeah, it's on LinkedIn, but if you go straight to our website, there's some cool sessions on there actually, that I know people go back to and refer to. We've got some more coming up as well. We've got pre-sale session next week, and then Craig is talking about blogging in a couple of weeks too. So yeah, some
awesome.
cool stuff coming up.
That's cool. And I found a new question. I was using the PowerShell admin commandlets and had a hard time finding solution-aware connectors. Is there a way to find custom connectors that are in a solution? Custom connectors that are in a solution? Holy moly, I have no idea. I guess so, but I never tried that. I recently get rid of it. Just I was switching on the in the admin center the little function where you can enforce using solutions. Basically, this works quite well. But if you haven't, I don't know. That's a good question. I will copy paste this in my to-do list and see if I can come up with an answer, Brandon. And if so, maybe you could ping me on LinkedIn, Twitter, whatever, so that I know where to put my answer if I find something.
Cool. Well, what I can do is follow up with everybody. If anyone wants connecting with anybody, hopefully we're all linked to me somehow. So you can reach out and I can connect anybody.
I've just cyber stalked and sent a connection request to every single person in this meeting.
Yeah, I will. I'll be connected. I can't answer anybody's questions, so. I think we've had a really good session there. That's awesome. Some great questions at the end as well. So thank you, Michael. Engaging as ever. And love the hat as well.
Yeah, thinking cap. All right.
But yeah, thanks for coming, everybody, and hope to see you all again soon.
Thank you. Thanks,
Thank you
Michael.
very much.
Have a nice
Cheers.
afternoon.
Bye.
Yeah,
Bye,
thank you.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.